Online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
And with that, there we go. Let's try that again. With that, we say welcome into another brand new live edition of Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond with you. Welcome in on a Tuesday morning. 256-576-4977. That's the number of the phone lines. You can join the program. You can join the show for the next 2 hours as we will entertain you with some sports. I don't get to do that too often, and I'm doing it now. Because last night, boy, oh boy, was it joyous to watch Iowa perform on the biggest stage. They get it done over LSU last night. I was so happy. I was so happy.
It's down here on the Biden network.
Caitlin Clark, 9 3-pointers last night. Dishing out assists, double-double when it – or no, not quite. But credit to LSU.
Oh, she had a double-double. She had 41 points and 12 assists and 7 rebounds.
Credit to LSU, credit to Iowa. The game was played like a game. It was not it was good. I was thoroughly entertained. It was what I expected and what I hoped for, I should say, at the same time. But Iowa is now into the Final Four. The Final Four is all set for both the men and the women. The women's will be in Cleveland. The men's is there in Glendale at the Toaster. Or is it still Phoenix? No, it's State Farm now. State Farm. It was University
I don't keep
of
up
Phoenix.
with the sponsors. They change them every
State
2, 3,
Farm.
4, 5, whatever the hell it is.
But
it's the Toaster. Well,
history, yeah, it is. It's the Toaster. It's the big, gigantic.
Yeah.
History is made, though, because for the first time ever, with UConn heading to the Final Four on the women's side last night, it guaranteed for the first time ever that we have not one but two teams sending two teams to the Final Four. Now, It's happened before where both men's and women's programs from the same school have gone to the Final Four. The last time it happened was 2017. SEC school named South Carolina accomplished the feat. The men lost in the Final Four to Gonzaga. The women won the national title against Mississippi State that year in 2017. It's happened in 16, 14, 13, 11, 09, 06, 05, 04, 03, 02, 99, and 1983 was the first time that it happened. NC State was the first school in 1983 to send both their men's and women's programs to the Final Four. The men Georgia did it. Georgia did it in 1983. Lost to NC State in the Final Four. The women lost to USC. This year, it's NC State and UConn both sending their programs to the Final Four.
Well, John Fant of the Field of 68 did point out that UConn, this is the 5th time they've done it in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
That their men and women have both gone to the Final Four at the same time. You just mentioned NC State with Wes Moore. They put out the Texas overrated Horns, in the Elite Eight this weekend, and won that game 76-66. It's always good to with the Horns because they think they're going to win everything.
Yeah.
But they're horns down, so they're done. Now they can come to the SEC and get their ass whipped.
UConn did it in 14, 11, 09, and 04.
And 4 of those times they won them both. So the only time that didn't happen was 2009, and the men lost to Michigan State. It's amazing. It's the only time that the UConn men so far in all their trips to the Final Four have, and I believe this is, I want to say 6 or 7 for them, because they made they went in '99, they went in '04, they went in '09, they went in '11, they went in '14, and then they went last year. So this is the 7th. In the first 6 times they've gone, they've won the championship 5 times. So that's pretty amazing.
It's pretty good numbers.
Pretty good odds, and they're favored to do it 6 out of 7. If you believe it, Alabama shouldn't show up.
UConn, by the way, you mentioned that UConn is a minus 190 to win the national championship. Purdue, second best odds at 210. NC State, which, by the way, had to win the ACC tournament to get in, keep Kevin Keats' job, is a plus 1,600. Alabama has the worst odds among all of the Final Four teams at plus 1,800.
Look, I mean, Myron Metcalf of ESPN, he reseeded the Elite Eight. Alabama was 8th. They had Alabama basically the worst team in the Sweet 16, the worst team, in the Elite Eight.
Because of their defensive numbers?
Well, I guess, but they also don't believe in Alabama basketball. So they've all looked like idiots. I hope it continues. They've all looked stupid as hell. And I knew, that they would that Alabama would be seeded 4th as soon as they made the Final Four, because NC State's from the vaunted ACC, and the ACC has always been considered the blue blood league, even though it stunk. For the last several years, to be honest, and it's been top heavy at best. But hey, they're going to put NC State above Alabama, and so that's fine. Alabama played, I think, a much tougher schedule than NC State. NC State's playing very, very well though under Kevin Keats. They're hot, and again, according to the experts, NC State and Alabama should just be happy to be there and not even show up. All I'm saying is, what you going to do if they're playing each other for the national championship?
Their run reminds me of a UConn run several years ago when they had to win 5 games.
I know what they'll do. It'll be NC State. It's 1983 all over again. NC State will be picked by everybody. Alabama hasn't been picked by many people at all since they played Grand Canyon. The national media all picked Grand Canyon and looked like a bunch of dumbasses. And so they just continued to pick. And I mean, I understand why they picked North Carolina. It's North Carolina. Alabama had only beaten the vaunted Tar Heels one time ever in the NCAA tournament. That was 1976 when they blew them out. But again,
is this just the football school stigma mentality that people around the country
Alabama
had
only been to one Elite Eight ever, and so it's the North Carolina Tar Heels who had been a 1 seed and won the vaunted ACC. So of course they're going to go with the ACC school. But I will say, the year before, when Alabama was the number 1 overall national seed, there were several that had Alabama in the national championship game or in the Final Four. Even a few that picked Alabama to win it, which they did not. So Alabama's been the favorite before. This time they're the underdog. NC State's the underdog, and it's understandable. I mean, UConn looks like a juggernaut right now. They've won their last 10 NCAA tournament games by over 22 points per game. They really haven't been tested late in the game. And then Purdue has been very impressive in their run. Their only close game was Tennessee. And they put it away. But, I mean, Purdue has been very good all year. They've kind of been on a mission because of the gag job that they did a year ago against Fairleigh Dickinson when it was the worst loss in the history of the NCAA tournament, the worst loss in the history of the NCAA tournament, the worst loss in the history of the NCAA tournament.
Worse than Virginia and –
absolutely worse than UMBC. And besides, Virginia turned around and won it all. Now, Purdue's trying to do that too. Maybe it's going to be another movie. Maybe they're going to do that. I mean, it could easily happen. But, I mean, because, they're going to be favored over NC State. And do I think they could beat, UConn? Yes. But I think Alabama can beat UConn. Is it likely? No. But there is a scenario where it can happen. So, but again, this is what I expected. No question about it, because NC State, nobody had NC State and Alabama. Very few people had them in the Final Four. Very, very few. Especially NC State, even more so than Alabama, because you just mentioned it. They had to win 5 games in 5 days. They were 17-14 and dead in the water, and Keats was probably going to get fired.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
On his way out.
So, But, I mean, you mentioned Alabama's defensive deficiencies at the start of the tournament. Yeah, that's probably got something to do with it. But guess what? Alabama can score as well as any of them. They average more points per game than UConn and Purdue. Now, if you listen to the media, they'd never tell you that probably. But, again, they do average more points. But you have to also guard. You got to rebound. So it's going to be a fascinating Final Four because you got two, underdogs. I don't really think you have a Cinderella because even with NC State being an 11 seed, I mean, I don't buy all that Cinderella tag because they're from the ACC. And I'll be honest, if you look at that 83 run from Jimmy V and when they won the ACC tournament and then all the teams they beat to win it all, I mean, you're talking about having to beat Virginia twice. You're beating North Carolina. They beat some great teams. So what it is more so to me is that NC State wasn't healthy at times during that 83 run, and they took a while to gel. But when they gelled, it was at the perfect time, and they proved how good they were. Because I think a lot of people thought in the preseason they were going to be a really good team. And Alabama, they've taken a while because of all the new pieces that they've had. Same way with NC State, because 6 of their top 8 are transfers. Now Purdue, they're
their whole starting 5. We've said that.
And there's a lot of new pieces for UConn. But Dan Hurley's just a great coach, man. I mean, that you got to give him credit. And they brought Klingon back, who's an outstanding defensive player, an outstanding center. But they had enough pieces Dan Hurley did a great job of retaining some of his roster and then bringing in the perfect pieces that were right for his culture. That really got the Cam Spencers and all those guys that really have been able to continue the high level of play. And again, UConn, 30 years ago, they weren't a blue blood, but they are now because you earn that status, man. When you win championships, when you hang banners up, when you've won 5 and you're favored to win 6.
When you've won 5 of your 6 appearances on the biggest stage in college basketball.
Because Duke won games, man, and they played for a championship in '78 before Coach K showed up. But when they start winning, when you start hanging the banners, that's when you can look north. Because, I'll be honest with you. When Duke and North Carolina in the '70s, that wasn't considered the best rivalry in college basketball.
No.
It became the best rivalry because of how good Duke became. And because Carolina was already there. Carolina going all the way back to the 50s and Frank McGuire. Okay? So, but all that stuff is earned. And so you can earn a spot as a blue blood. There's nothing that says, oh, there can't be any more blue bloods. There can when you hang multiple banners, man. That's the way it is. I mean, going all the way in '95, the UConn women weren't blue bloods.
No.
I mean,
Gino's
won 11 championships, and that's where they're at right now.
Right.
It's the faces of the sport are Tennessee and UConn. And very interesting that Kelly Harper gets let go yesterday at Tennessee as well.
Yeah. All right, 7-12. That is your quick. I'm just looking at the men's. I'm looking at UConn real fast because Jim Calhoun was there from 1986 to 2012. His first team finished 9-19. And then 1990, the dream season, they'd bring him back to the national stage in 1990.
That's where Leitner beat him at the buzzer over, I believe, in the Meadowlands.
Yeah, and I'm just kind of looking at – because Jim Calhoun really elevated that program. And then Kevin Ollie, it dipped – he was there actually 6 years. Kevin Ollie was there 6 years.
Well, Ollie was there 6 because of the he got to stay. He was basically an interim coach because at the very before that season, Jim Calhoun, I believe, abruptly retired, and they were a 7 seed going into the NCAA tournament. But once Ollie won the national championship, he was going to get some equity.
Yes.
And they won the national championship. And probably the most unlikely one that UConn's won, even more unlikely than last year.
Number 7 seed to ever win the NCAA tournament was Ollie's.
And I think the second lowest seed ever to win it. Of course, we all know who the lowest is. Villanova was an 8, I believe, in 1985. And FAU, I want to say, they got to the Final Four last year. I think they were a 9. Now, we've had 11 seeds get there and everything, but they didn't, win the tournament. But the lowest seed ever, I think, is still Villanova. And Villanova was an 8. And they slayed the dragon known as Georgetown when that was a foregone conclusion. Why anybody even showing up? Because Georgetown, they're going to win back-to-back championships, and nobody can what? What was that again? Okay. Watch the games.
Oh, yeah. All right, 7:15. Let's get a first break in. When we come back, you mentioned Tennessee. They were in the headlines yesterday. They have an opening for a women's coach. We'll fill you in on that. Nate Oates gives us an update on Latrell Wrightsell. We've got a lot of stuff to get through. Just beginning. 256-576-4977.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Got a couple of wrecks working now. Highway 20 in Kimberly Pines. That's in Decatur. That one did report with an injury. And we got Old Highway 20 in Greenbrier. That one reports injuries as well. I think I had a couple of folks hurt there. From routine care to heart failure, Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialists on Bob Wallace Avenue have the expertise to care for all matters of the heart. Captain Eck in the Jordan Lane Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time, or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
From heirloom diamonds to contemporary jewels, Loring & Company is the place to find something truly special. Whether shopping for a diamond ring for that once-in-a-lifetime occasion or marking a milestone birthday or personal achievement with a Rolex watch, you'll find just the thing in our edit of the world's most sought-after brands, including David Yurman, Roberto Coin, Marco Bicego, and Fopay. Expect a treasure trove of the world's most unique, even breathtaking earrings, rings, necklaces, and bracelets, making choosing just one piece a challenge in itself. Loring & Company Jewelers on Airport Road.
Isn't the story of the prodigal son an amazing story? Basically, a rowdy boy who literally wished his father dead, ran away, and consumed his wealth with hard and fast living. Yet the father looked for his return every day, and when the boy got tired of eating pig slop, he decided to return. What did the father do? As soon as he saw that boy, he ran to him, threw his arms around him, and killed the fatted calf for a great celebration. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of the Cross Point Church. If you're looking for a church home, come see us, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison.
No payments for 90 days on 23 and 24 models. Financing as low as 0% and the best deals of the year on America's best-selling truck for 47 years in a row. Hi folks, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and I'm here to tell you it's Truck Month. The best deals on F-150, Explorer, Bronco, Edge, Bronco Sport, and Escape. During Truck Month, get financing as low as 1.9% for up to 72 months on 2023 F-150 Crew Cabs, and lease payments as low as $375 a month. That's a 36-month lease with $62.82 due at signing, 0 security deposit, just tax tag title, and your good credit. Offer ends 4/2/24. Call 539-9441 for complete details. At Woody Anderson Ford, we have over 40 Bronco Sports and nearly 50 Explorers and about a dozen full-size Broncos, all with great sales incentives and no payment for 90 days. Truck Month only happens once a year. Woody Anderson Ford, hope to see you soon.
Welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond, as we mentioned. As we were talking about it yesterday, how hard it is to fill the shoes of a coaching legend. Now, Kelly Harper did not fill the shoes of Pat Summitt. She was the second head coach there in Knoxville to take over the women's program.
And it was the first search because Holly Warlick was elevated,
yes. But
during that very, very unusual time.
Still, Kelly Harper, after 5 seasons of leading the Vols, who went 108-52.
So it wasn't bad.
Her teams, though, never finished above third in the SEC.
Right.
had 4 postseason appearances, but never made it past the Sweet 16.
Made it to 2 of them, yeah.
Tennessee ended with a loss to NC State in the second round. This year, Tennessee is moving on from Kelly Harper.
Yeah, and I can only think they're going to spend big money here, but on who? I mean, and we were kind of discussing it off the air because the pool of elite coaches in women's basketball is smaller and very difficult to move. Let's just put it that way.
Think about this.
Yeah.
She signed a 1-year contract extension last June.
Mm-hmm.
Kept her under contract through 2028.
Right.
Bumped her compensation to $1.1 million per year.
Well, that's up there.
That made her the 4th highest paid women's basketball coach in the SEC at the time. 4th. Behind, obviously, you got to think of Dawn Staley.
Right.
Kim Mulkey.
Right.
I'm trying to think of who the third one would be in that scenario for the SEC. I mean, if she's the 4th highest paid, I'm trying to think of the third there, and I'm drawing a blank.
Well, I mean, it's just one of those things that the compensation for the women's game is not up there with the men's, but it's improving.
Right.
And certainly $1.1 million is a very generous package for what Kelly Harper was doing, but it's still, they were paying Dawn Staley and Kim Mulkey twice that. I mean, and if not, I should say 3 times. Let me say, I mean, because Mulkey signed like a 10-year, $30+ million contract, I think, after winning the national championship.
I believe Kenny Brooks at Kentucky
Yeah.
is in that 3rd spot.
Well, and that just happened, though.
Right.
So she was really in the top 3. Brooks just got hired away from Virginia Tech.
Okay.
So he went to the Final Four a year ago. So that deal just happened.
All right, let's go out to the phone lines. Jeff from the Borough is with us. Good morning, Jeff.
How's it going, guys?
Good.
First of all, the Tennessee situation. Before they hired Harper, this last time, Fulham was the athletic director. They could have got the guy at Louisville, Jeff Walls.
Yeah.
This will go. They could have got him.
Right.
But the fan base said, we don't want a man coaching the Lady Vols.
They wanted a former player, right? Yeah.
No, they don't want it. Not a former. They didn't want a man coaching them, period. I don't care who it was. They wanted a woman coaching them. And so that's when Fulham went out and he got Harper. And the number 1 candidate to replace her is at Duke, Carol Lawson.
Yeah, I thought about her.
The number 1 candidate. That's who they're going to. To me, that's who they're going to go after.
But what has she done, though, Jeff? I don't think
she played there.
I know she did. She was a national champion, but I'm talking about as a coach, though. They're good, but I just don't.
Yeah, but they want. That's what they want. They want a woman coaching, and she played there. They don't want a man coaching the Lady Vols. Their fan base don't, because when they wanted to hire him, and the fan base gets big revolt, said no, we don't want Jeff Walls. We want a woman. So that's when Fulmer hired Kelly. That's when he hired.
Well, Fulmer's an imbecile.
I know, but I'm saying that's when because ADs listen to the fan base, and they shouldn't do that, should they?
No, they shouldn't. You never.
No,
you don't ever listen to the fan base, because if you do that, it's a disaster.
When Tennessee tried to hire the football coach, they could have had Mike Leach. They could have had Schiano. Remember that time?
Schiano, they totally revolted.
Yeah, the churches too went paying the rock and the foolishness that they do, all their foolishness, and they could have had Leach, and then he hired that Pruitt idiot, that Pruitt guy. So that's why that's why ADs don't listen to fan bases. You do your job. You don't fool with the fans. I don't care what the fans say. Like Mitch Barnhart, he's got a job to do. He's not going to listen to a fan or media or nothing. Nothing of that sort. Nothing. That's what you do. And as far as the Villanova thing, Villanova, that night they played Georgetown, and it was in Rupp Arena, they shot about 89%.
79.
Because a Big East coach said they had to play the perfect game to beat Georgetown, and they did it. They played the perfect game to beat them that night. And next year, also Shawshank, next year, when the 2025 tournament starts, one of the sites, pal, the first and second round sites, Rupp Arena, Lexington, KY.
Good. Kentucky won't have to travel far to watch it.
Well, I'm sorry. In Shawshank, if I beat you mad, baby, I've got you. And that's what I want every day, darling. Or whenever I call this show, I've got you. When I've got you mad and pissed off, I've got you, and I love it. Have a good day, guys. See you.
I pounded on the table. He snaps now. That's the thing with Jeff. That's what Jeff's doing. He's snapping his fingers.
Who said you were pissed off?
Oh, yeah.
just...
No. It's Jeff snapping his
snapping.
fingers. It's snapping
He's
his
snapping.
fingers.
No, he's getting a little. He's
snapping his fingers just about as long as Kentucky stayed in the NCAA tournament. Snap your fingers. It's gone. Just like that. And they just had to hire a new basketball coach, and it's a good hire, Kenny Brooks, but from Virginia Tech, and he should make the league even stronger.
So
Kentucky's women's program for many years wasn't very good, but they had a good run. But if I can remember correctly, the lady they just fired, I think that's another former Pat Summitt player, because a lot, like I said, man, I thought about Carol Lawson, but she's done a good job at Duke, but it's not like they're an elite program.
Right.
I would look at Wes Moore more than I would, and they don't need to be saying only a woman can coach the Lady Vols. Go hire the best coach, because at Tennessee you should be able to women's wise.
You need to go
because
hire. Yes.
You have as good a tradition as UConn still, and you had the greatest coach still, in my opinion, in Pat Summitt. So no matter who it is, you have a very passionate following and brand and fan base. Tennessee ought to be able to hire a top-of-the-line coach. There's no question about that.
All right, 256-576-4977. You can join us this morning, and that's where we're going to visit with Richard. Good morning, Richard.
Morning, guys, and
Morning.
Final Four bound. Let's go.
So you're on the way to Phoenix?
Not yet. I'm going Friday.
Okay, I got you.
I love.
So did you get one of those flights? Did you get one of those flights, Birmingham to Phoenix?
No, I didn't know about it. I'm
Oh.
going into Tucson. We booked Friday night. You know, you had 24 hours. You could cancel the flight. So,
yeah.
So and it's like an hour and a half, 2 hours down. Get a little desert tour there.
So you've been a season ticket holder a long time. I'm assuming they gave you the option of Final Four tickets.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, probably about 8 or 9 years.
Okay,
not,
cool.
You know, super long. Basically, they gave you. It's sort of like what they do a bowl game.
Right.
You know, a lot of times like the first, sometime in November, they'll give you a list of bowl games. If you check off the one you are interested in, and you don't get billed unless you go to that one. It's sort of the same thing. I could have gone any regional Alabama went to. I chose like Memphis, Indianapolis, the Final Four, and they didn't go to Memphis or Indianapolis, so I didn't get charged.
Right.
Out. Out, but I did choose the Final Four, and so I got something back probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago that I had tickets.
Nice.
Yeah,
if they got there.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
I remember. So I've been out there twice, both for football games. Once for the Auburn-Oregon game, and once for the Alabama-Clemson game.
Yeah.
There's not a lot to do out there around the arena, the State Farm Arena. There's a place kind of similar to Bridge Street out there, where the hockey arena. I don't know. There's a basketball arena / hockey arena right next, like almost kind of across the street from there. But there's not a ton to do out there, and it's a little bit of a drive from downtown Phoenix out there to Glendale. It's a little bit of a drive.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you'll have 2 games going on. You've got the coaching convention, because I went to the one in Atlanta in 2002 and bumped into Jim Calhoun. He was about to drop his popcorn, and I had to hold it for him. So,
oh, wow. There you go.
You have all the coaches there. And actually, the Pelicans are playing on Sunday, so we're going to go watch Herb play.
Oh,
that's
cool.
Fun. That'd be fun, yeah.
And against
One
Devin
thing
Booker.
tonight, on Drew's favorite station, the Biden Network, ESPN, is a McDonald's All-American game, and Alabama's got 2 guys playing in it, and Auburn has 1.
And
So
what day is the
8
McDonald's
p.m.
game?
It's tonight. at
Oh,
8
it is
p.m.
tonight. I honestly,
Yeah.
I mean, it's been. I went to one, like I said, 5 years ago in Atlanta, which was cool. I mean, it was a cool experience to be there and see some of those those great players. And Trendon Watford played in it. I think Christian Swears was there as well. Bucky was. But I haven't been since. And quite frankly, since that period of time, you've had COVID and all this. And I've really not watched the McDonald's game in several years. I need to try to watch it.
Covered one, and Jonathan Bender went off in that one game that I actually covered.
Yeah, and he went pro straight out of high school and then went into the toilet.
Supposed to go to Mississippi State.
He was.
Yeah, I just remember Miller didn't do much when he was in it, and he kind of because if the guards don't want to get you the ball.
Yeah.
It's just it's more of an honor than kind of proving, how good. I mean, because Alabama, you had Quinterly, who was a very good player, but not even going to be in the NBA, and you also had Burnett, from a year ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Or McDonald's All-Americans, and he didn't do. I mean, he started, but he didn't do much at Michigan. But I guess nobody did much at Michigan this year. So, one thing on the women's coach, would it be the lady that used to be at Georgia that went to A&M, maybe?
Oh, you're talking about the former Alabama player Joni Crenshaw.
Yeah, because I mean, A&M spends big bucks, and if they hired her from Georgia, that would be my guess.
Well, they didn't make the tournament this year, I don't think.
No, you were talking about the highest paid in the SEC, though.
Oh well, she's probably in the top 4 or 5, but. When Scott said Kenny Brooks, I was like, that just happened.
Right.
And of course, they got him to leave Virginia Tech, so I'm sure it took some cash to get him over there. I'm sure he's making over $1 million a year. But it's basically, Don Staley, Kim Mulkey, and then everybody else because, I mean, they're both making far and away, I think, the most money in the SEC.
I think Joni Taylor.
Joni Taylor. It's now Joni Taylor.
$1.5 million, I think, was her salary. Yes.
So, now she's up there, too. As we were saying, she's got to be in the top 4 or 5.
A&M, waste money,
Because Joni Crenshaw actually played at Alabama. She was Joni Crenshaw then. Now she's Joni Taylor,
like I said, A&M likes to spend money, so.
Oh, yeah. And still is.
Yep. So it's one thing I like you talking about the Tennessee job is they have a good fan base too to show up for the game.
Oh, they do.
So it's not so you don't have to kind of train the fans to come back out if you put a good product on the court.
No, they should, if they make the right hire. They just have to. It's a lot of times that's how it works. Maybe the first couple of times you don't find the exact perfect fit when you're trying to. Fill the incomparable shoes of Pat Summitt. But when they find the right coach, Tennessee will be great. I mean, I don't have any doubt about that. I mean, they've still got the infrastructure.
Quick story about that. This is the one really good Hobbs year. We had like McDyess and Cassie and those guys.
Jamal Faulkner, yep.
Yeah, Kerry Clark. But Kerry Clark and my son was probably about 2 or 3 years old. We went up to Knoxville. To the game up there. He goes, let's go. And we were up there, and Alabama's just grilling them. We had bad seats up in the end zone, but we're winning halftime 20 points, and just increasing the lead. And all of a sudden, the stands are getting full, and we're going, what are these balls doing? They should be leaving. It was a free doubleheader or double. The women's game was free after the Bama game. We didn't realize what was going on because these people were coming in, and we're just we're winning about 30 points. We go, they should be leaving.
Right.
But they were coming in to see, Pat Summitt's team play, the second part of the doubleheader, which we didn't know about.
Right. How can you blame them? I mean, what an amazing program they had.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Richard.
Thanks for
the phone call, bud. Sure. All right, let's get a break in. When we come back, 256-576-4977. You can continue to join us. We will hear from Nate Oates as well. Give us an update on Latrell Wrightsell.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. We're talking about the chance for strong and severe thunderstorms this afternoon across North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee. Looks like this activity is going to move in after the lunch hour, and it's going to stick with us across the Tennessee Valley until we head into the middle and later part of the evening. Gusty winds in excess of 60 or 70 miles per hour, and large hail looks like it's going to be the primary concern across the Tennessee Valley Tuesday afternoon. There is an isolated tornado threat as well. Temperatures climbing into the mid and upper 70s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio.
Got a wreck at Stringfield and Blue Spring. That one's got an injury involved. Vehicle hit a utility pole there. One in Decatur, Highway 20 at Kimberly Pines reported with an injury. We had a couple of injuries, Old Highway 20 and Greenbrier Road. You get 2 pieces of the hand-breaded Juicy Tender Signature Chicken and a buttermilk biscuit for $4.99 at Popeyes. University and George 72 and Jeff and North Parkway. Captain Nick in the Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
The company is Eagle Masonry and Insulation, but did you know they're also Eagle Landscaping and Dirt Work? Eagle can take care of all your landscaping needs, including irrigation, sod work, and planting, both plants and trees. On the dirt work side, Eagle can grade and build your pads, haul dirt in or out, and even do erosion control. Philip Love and his team can do it all for you. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Not looking or feeling your best? No energy for the things you like to do? Ready to look and feel younger? Make your appointment at Advanced Life Clinic, one of the region's foremost destinations for patients interested in looking and feeling their best. Specializing in advanced laser treatments and weight loss, male and female rejuvenation to offset the effects of aging, and more. See how Advanced Life Clinic can help you enjoy your life again. Call 256-882-6555 or log on advancedlifeclinic.com.
Are you tired of power outages disrupting your life? It's time for a Generac standby generator from Current Electrical. Storms may rage outside, but inside your family's powered up. So why choose Current Electrical for your generator needs? 1, we offer a wide range of models to suit every budgeted energy requirement. 2, our project managers handle every step of the process: power, gas, permitting, and inspections. 3, our certified technicians install your generator with precision, ensuring peace of mind. Don't wait for the next blackout. Call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at GenSuperstore.com.
Looking for your next game day party destination? Well, think outside the box and kick back at Flow Supreme Air. And you may be thinking, isn't that the trampoline place? Of course it is. But it's also the one-stop spot for all things fun. And if kicking back with the boys to watch the game is your jam, then you're in the right spot. Jump or not, Flow tends to all ages, meaning while you sit back and watch the game, but little Jimmy's having the time of his life perfecting that front flip he most definitely wants to show you. You got this, Jimmy. So next time you think Flow, think fun for everyone.
This is Pre-Tection. Yep, Pre-Tection. The everyday skin protection ritual that protects your skin from mosquitoes. Pre-barbecue. Pre-playground. Pre-everything. Pre-every day. Prevention is the best protection. This summer, make sure you have OFF, the #1 dermatologist-recommended repellent brand. SC Johnson, a family company.
College football.
The ball is caught. It is a touchdown.
Major League Baseball.
That ball is gone. A home run.
This is your place for complete sports coverage all year long. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you, still basking in the glow. That is now it's funny because now Iowa and UConn play each other in the Final Four.
Yeah.
And Paige Beckers and Caitlin Clark faced each other when they were freshmen. Now UConn won that matchup. UConn was actually Caitlin Clark's dream school. That's where she really wanted to go. And Gino never found her there in Des Moines, so she ended up at Iowa, where it was her hometown school.
Well, yeah,
hometown, but in-state school.
Yeah, a lot of young ladies grew up either wanting to go to UConn or Tennessee.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the two you wanted to recruit you, no question about it. But like we said, after Coach Summit had the unfortunate situation with her health, their program has slipped a little bit. They're still really good, but they haven't been elite, but they can be elite again. And, Gino, I know he hasn't won one in several years either, but they're going back to the Final Four. I mean, he's won 11 championships. UConn and Tennessee, to me, and now South Carolina. South Carolina has earned with their multiple championships and what Don Staley has built. That's still really, honestly, your three biggest brands in women's basketball. Baylor made a run at it and won 3 under Kim Mulkey, but unfortunately she left, and now she's gone to LSU. And now, Mulkey had Baylor up there as one of the top 4 or 5 brands, and now Mulkey's trying to do that with LSU. Perhaps she will. They won 1. We'll see where they go from here. But all the criticism these young ladies are getting is just, I'm sorry, they brought it upon themselves with the way they acted for the last year. I'm sorry. Period in the story. Totally. And don't give me this garbage about, they're 18 to 21-year-old kids. You ain't a kid anymore when you're getting paid. Okay,
Yeah,
when you're getting
six
paid
figures,
and Angel Reese is
endorsements.
probably making over $1 million in NIL, boo hoo hoo. Shut up and play.
Yeah. All right, Alabama. They will be available to the media, I believe, later today. Will Nate Oates and players, and they are
And they leave
counting
tomorrow
down
morning
towards their Final Four in Glendale. The question is what is the status of Latrell Wrightsell? Will he be available? What is he going to do? What's happening? Nate Oates last night on their Final Four preview show with Chris Stewart was asked by Pee Wee, of all people.
Of course.
Latrell Wrightsell's status.
You know what? He's looking better. He still wasn't able to practice today. You know, he's still being evaluated every day. But, like, you know, with the head injuries, further away from the injury you get, you know, the more likely you are to be able to play. So I think with the week between games, he hasn't played. He didn't play all last week. You know, I think we're going to get, you know, he's got to be able to go through skill workout, then be able to practice, and then still not have any, you know, headache or whatever it is. You know, they've got the whole protocol, and you don't want to put a young man's long-term health at risk for one game. So I think our doctor and trainer have been doing the right thing and keeping him out. But I think, you know, he's going to give it a go. He's going to get it in practice, and if everything goes well after the practice this week, then he's going to be able to go on Saturday would be the hope.
So there you go. A quick update on Latrell Wrightsell.
Yeah, and hopefully he'll be able to go, man. I mean, you know, he missed the entire and really he played the majority of the game against Charleston. He had the nose situation, bloody nose, but only played, you know, a part of the first half against, you know, Grand Canyon, and then didn't play at all in their Sweet 16 matchup with Carolina, and then the Elite Eight with Clemson. So he's another great shooter, and he would be a weapon for Alabama, and hopefully now with this extended time off and rest that he'll be able to go.
All right, again, Alabama will practice later today. They will meet the media. Let's see here. We're getting some messages getting some messages in here this morning. Tennessee should hire Carol
Lawson, that's probably.
Carol Baskin?
Baskin?
No. The Simon. Okay, this one here is that is a sarcastic response.
Oh.
They would work for Oreos is another one. I have no idea why they would work for Oreos. Oh, wow. Okay. A lot of people not paying attention to the show. Or we're not paying attention to. I don't know where the Oreo portion came into the conversation today.
I mean, I understand Carol Lawson. I mean, she was a great player. She chose Tennessee over Stanford and helped Coach Summit, you know, win multiple national championships. She's done a good job at Duke. But my counter to it would be, what has she done that Kelly Harper hasn't done? You know, because Kelly Harper had been at NC State and done a good job. So to me, it would just be almost the same scenario. And you just let go of Kelly Harper and didn't let her try to keep building the program. So I don't know. But maybe Carol Lawson would be the perfect fit. I don't know. But certainly we'll see. But I still think someone that's actually made a Final Four like a Wes Moore, I mean, eventually you have to just hire the best coach. And if it is a lady, great. But if it's a guy, great. But you need the Lady Vols are a iconic brand, and they need the best coach possible. You don't need to pigeonhole yourself and say, well, we can only hire from this pool of candidates. To me, I mean, that's just my opinion.
All right, 7:44. Let's get a break in. When we come back, we'll wrap up hour number 1 here on Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Had a vehicle hit a utility pole, Stringfield and Blue Spring. That one ended up as an injury type, but apparently all the power lines are intact there. Highway 20 in Kimberly Pines, that's in Decatur. That one had an injury. Old Highway 20 in Greenbrier Road also reported as an injury type accident. Officers, construction workers, and first responders put their lives on the line every time they step on the roadway. Why not make it safer for them? Slow down or move over. It's the law. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
It's a beautiful day for a ball game.
Here it comes, and there it goes. Fly ball, deep left field, way back. This one is up. This one is gone.
Grab your peanuts and Cracker Jacks and get ready to cheer on the Tide.
Called third strike, a slider lower inside corner.
The Tide plays here all season long.
Here's a spin. Here's Bowman's throw home. The slide, and he's safe.
On your home for Alabama baseball, the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
I'm here today with Dr. Tracy Lowry of Veracity Vein Center. Now, how does someone suspect they have vein issues?
The most common symptoms associated with vein issues include leg heaviness, aching, and swelling, with some patients having visible veins as well. Vein issues can be easily diagnosed using ultrasound, with treatments performed as an outpatient using the latest minimally invasive techniques. Diagnosis and treatment is covered by most insurances. Both men and women have vein issues, though men may be more likely to ignore their symptoms when they're playing golf or walking the stadium steps. They too will benefit from correction of their vein problem. Patients can contact our clinics in Huntsville and new clinics in Madison and Coleman at 256-715-7151 or visit us at VeracityVeinCenter.com.
Veracity Vein Center, Alabama's premier vein center.
The new favorite place for delicious Mexican food is Coralejos Mexican Grill in Huntsville. Check out their reviews on Facebook and you'll see what people are raving about. Enjoy drink specials all day Monday through Thursday, like house margaritas for $3.99 and 12-ounce drafts for $2. Even vegan-friendly entrees on Monday starting at $5. Coralejos Mexican Grill, 1658 Old Monrovia Road in Huntsville. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram to stay updated on their specials.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com.
Now let me see everybody do this.
Welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Hope everything is doing well on this Tuesday.
Download our app if you hadn't already.
Yeah, you might want to do it, apparently.
Yeah.
256-576-4977. Hell, I don't know if we're coming across the airwaves or not. We may or may not be. Okay. Chad says we're live on radio.
Okay, cool.
So we're apparently
It was
good.
probably just a little snag there.
All right.
Just like it was a snag for her to end her career as a loser.
Oh, boy.
That's the great Angel Reese. Just ask her.
Major League Baseball, the Atlanta Braves last night, 8 innings. Get a win over the Chicago White Sox.
It started raining. Now it's supposed to keep raining and snow 5 inches or whatever in the next 2 days. So may not be hearing the Braves. Hope we are, but not sure we will be.
Yeah, the weather, wow.
I mean, it's looking pretty severe over there in Chi-Town.
Wow, I know. The Braves off to a 3-1 start, though, with that 9-0 win. Charlie Morton, the ageless wonder, 1-0 now on his
40-plus years old.
The ageless
Charlie.
wonder. Let's go out to the phone lines. Brandon is with us. Good morning, Brandon.
Hey.
Hey, man.
Wanted to talk about something y'all were talking about yesterday about the arena.
Yeah.
My neighbor that owns the insurance company on the front street's got 2 kids at Alabama right now.
Right.
And I talked to one of them last night, and she said, we don't want them to build a 10,000-seat arena, she said, because with 50,000 students here, she said this should be a prime destination for big-time concerts. She said they don't have any concerts at Bryant-Denny whatsoever. She said, but if they built it to where, you know, you filled up the lower bowl, but the top of it was expandable, she said she's part of the Student Government Association over there, Student Government Council. She said there's no reason why we couldn't have at least 10 to 12 big-time sellout concerts here every year. She's like, Taylor Swift could fill up Bryant-Denny Stadium, could pack it to the ceiling where there's no room left. She said, but they're just not interested in doing that here. She's like, and we don't understand why Greg Byrne and them just act like they are not interested in the money that it would bring in, and it would help pay for the arena too. And I feel like that's a valid point.
Well, they don't want their turf pounded into oblivion, is what it is. They don't want the stadium used except for football.
Well, think about
That's
this
what
though.
It is.
You bring, I get it, bringing 110,000 people, maybe bringing 100,000 in for a football game is a whole lot different than bringing 100,000 in for a concert with your.
It's why they didn't.
Your. I mean, it's much more than just having the stadium available. I mean, what are you doing for emergency personnel? What are you doing on all other levels when it comes to a concert? Yes, you have to bring them in for a football game, but not near as much as what you have to do for a concert. Could the city of Tuscaloosa itself handle that much for a big concert?
Well, and I asked that question, and she responded to me and said, well, if you've got at least a 15,000-seat arena, she's like, you could have concerts rain or shine, fall or winter. And she's asked the question, they replace the turf every year in April. Could we not have some stuff done before they replace the turf or after the spring game when they do it? Could we not have a window to have something there? And I said, well, I'm with you. Are they still? And I'm not sure. Are they still replacing the turf every single year?
Yes, they replace it every single year. And look, that's why they didn't. They haven't allowed Deontay Wilder to have a fight in Coleman Coliseum. It holds 15,000 people, but they've had concerts in Coleman in the past. I've heard about them back in the the 60s and the 70s, but they just stopped doing that because I think of the wear and tear on the facility, and they wanted to have it just for the collegiate athletics situation and to be able to maintain it. I still think the new arena could end up holding like 11,500, maybe 12, and work. That's what I've always thought. But I do think, and Scott and I talked about this, that 15,000 seats is too many. I don't care.
I think so.
About. I know they've got 40 and 50,000 students, but I just don't think that you don't see very many arenas. Look, Baylor. I don't know what their enrollment is, but Baylor built, and that's I wouldn't want one this small, but they built a 7,000 seat arena. Right. I mean. But it wasn't until the last, maybe 2 years that you had this many students actually coming to the basketball games, period? Well, yeah. I mean, since Nate Oates got there, it's reinvigorated it because Avery Johnson, there was some excitement. It petered out. Under Anthony Grant, it became Coleman Mausoleum. The windshield wiper offense, whatever you want to watch it. Nobody, there was like 1,000 people there. So I mean, I covered some of those games. It was awful. I mean, there you could throw a water balloon and you wouldn't hit anybody. I mean, you know what I'm saying? There was nobody there. So I just think overall, if you built an arena to 11,500 or 12,000 people, to me that's a perfect size. Now I don't know if that's what it'll be. I know the original renderings were a little over 10. But again, back when you look at college basketball in so many in venues, that's what it is. And there's a lot of big universities around, but there's very few like Louisville, Kentucky. They both have 22,000 to 24,000 seat arenas. North Carolina
was built Louisville's was built downtown by the city of Louisville, and they worked in conjunction with the city. And it's not on the Louisville campus, and they share it with the city. That does Louisville. So that one, you know, that'd be like building the BJCC and sharing it for Alabama.
Right, and I just think right now, Greg Byrne and then the leadership, now they may change their mind, but I don't think they want to share the arena. I think they want to have it under their own control, and so we will see. Now, I'll say this, though. If they build this new arena, I don't expect them to tear down Coleman Coliseum.
Yeah, that's what I was about to
Perhaps
ask.
Coleman Coliseum is opened up for venues to do some of that kind of thing, where they have concerts and other things. Now, they don't do that for Foster because they remodel Foster, but Foster's a historical building too. That's where that came from. That's one reason why they renovated it. But with Coleman, heck, man, maybe you can keep it and use it for that kind of thing.
So Rupp Arena, 23.5.
Yeah.
Thompson Bowling is 21.678.
Yeah, I was going to say Thompson Bowling is, and I'll be honest with you, a lot of that too is the continued success of women's basketball.
Yes. And they remodeled that when they redid it, or when they, I guess you could say, put some money into it in Thompson Bowling. They shrunk it down a little bit. It was a little bit bigger.
Oh, it used to be like almost as big as Kentucky, or 24,000 or whatnot.
Put some suites in, redid it, made it a little smaller. Bud Walton is 19.3. Colonial Life is 18. Coleman is 15.383. Missouri's is 15, just a hair over 15. Vanderbilt's Memorial is 14.316. Pete Maravich, LSU's, is 13.215. Reed Arena in Texas A&M is 12,989. The O'Connell Center is at 12,000.
See, that's where I think Alabama should be.
Humphrey, the Hump, is 10,575. And then you have Stegman at 10,523. The Pavilion at Ole Miss is 9,500. They list Auburn as 9,100. So, yeah, anywhere between 10 and 12 is a sweet spot.
No doubt.
Well, guys, I'll tell you this. I came last year, I think it was, to the new Huntsville Amphitheater there.
Yes.
When Kenny Chesney came. If you hadn't been there, you're missing out. That is a destination that is fabulous. I really enjoyed coming there, that outdoor amphitheater they got, and I will be back sometime when they have another act I want to see. But I was really, really pleased with that, and there's a lot of places that wish they had a spot that nice.
Yes. Thanks for the phone call, Brandon. And, yes, I will concur with you on that. We've been out there twice for some concerts at the amphitheater, and it is remarkable. It's good. It's a great venue for the city of Huntsville. It really is. It's nice. We are just about done with hour number 1. 60 minutes is almost in the books. The second half of the show will kick off, and we will hear from Brian Pasick, fresh off his West Coast tour.
Yeah.
Question is, did he get any In-N-Out burgers when he was on the West Coast? We saw what he had there.
He had good food, man.
Yeah, we saw
but
what
he got
he
to
had.
see history.
Yeah, he did. And he'll visit with us coming up next about said history.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Unlike other credit cards that decline sports betting transactions or treat them as a cash advance, the GBank Visa Signature Card can load directly to your favorite sportsbook apps. G.bank/VSiN.
Men's NCAA Final Four this Saturday in Glendale, Arizona. Defending champ Connecticut favored by 11.5 against Alabama. The Crimson Tide plus 500, Connecticut minus 800, over under 161.5. NC State's an 8.5-point underdog against Purdue. The Boilermakers minus 425, the Wolfpack plus 325, over under 145.5. Women's Final Four on Friday, Iowa by 2.5 against Connecticut. The Huskies plus 110, over under 162.5. Undefeated South Carolina by 11.5 against NC State. The Wolfpack plus 400, over under 139.5. Get the latest lines and more at vsin.com.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN. The Zone comes Saturday. We will get the men's Final Four live from Glendale, Arizona, in the gigantic toaster that is State Farm Arena. And for the first time in school history, the Alabama Crimson Tide will be one of the last four standing when the round ball is tipped off.
It will be. It was historical on Saturday, on very late in the evening, as the University of Alabama polished off, a very good Clemson basketball team led by Brad Brownell, 89-82. For those of us that have grown up in the state of Alabama and followed this program, for me it was since the days of Wimp Sanderson, but for many it was since the days of Coach C.M. Newton when he really got it rolling. Some even remembered Johnny D. and the Rocket 8 in 1956, but it's a very proud program, one that I don't think at times gets the respect it deserves nationally. But when you finally break through and get to a Final Four, it changes a lot of things. And our next guest for 21 years has been beside Chris Stewart and brought everyone Alabama Crimson Tide basketball on the Crimson Tide Sports Network, which we're a very, very, very proud affiliate. He also put on the uniform, played in the NCAA tournament, and it was just a watershed moment to watch the seconds, tick off the clock over in Los Angeles. And Brian Pasick, before leaving for Phoenix and to bring us the Final Four, has been kind enough to join us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Brian, this is a conversation I've always dreamed of having. Good morning to you. You're with Drew and Scott yet again. And I wanted to use the word cathartic. Was it cathartic for you and Chris Stewart and Tom Stipe on the broadcast?
Yes, among every other positive emotion. As you bring me in, and I've been on with you guys, over the years, and even to talk about the Final Four. I've done radio shows, and we'll just kind of break down the Final Four. It's the topic of the country and a lot of parts of the world right now.
Yes,
and it's like I still can't believe that we're talking about Alabama in it. I mean,
I know.
It's like I see the Final Four graphic, and it just like, wow, it's real. Don't wake me up. I mean, it's crazy that I can't really wrap my mind around it, because it's something that I've dreamed of my team going to the Final Four since I was a little kid. And, every player I've talked to that a teammate of mine or former Alabama basketball player, this was always our goal. And it's like, it's happening. And even though obviously, we're not on the team,
right,
man, we all are on the team. And I'm talking about former players, fans, everybody who's loved Alabama basketball and followed it. And you mentioned, all the great coaches and times, and even the times that weren't great. I don't know that doesn't even make it more special, because this is a great program. This is a program that it just doesn't get the recognition it deserves. I think a big part of it, is that at Alabama, everything gets compared to the greatest college athletic program in the history of athletics. That's Alabama football.
Right.
And you're in comparison, you just kind of, everything else just kind of looks mediocre. Well, I've always said this, and we've talked about it. I don't want, I love Alabama football. I hope that, we win it in everything, all the time. And that the standard is ridiculous. That it doesn't bother me. I just think the mistake that's made is when you compare another athletic program to the greatest program of all time in college. So, I've always said, hey, let's not compare Alabama basketball to Alabama football. Let's compare it to Georgia basketball, Ohio State basketball. Then all of a sudden you realize the success that this program has had. But what's really cool is to hear the national media and the regional media and the local media, which, by the way, I think maybe the local media, has been as guilty as anybody of not knowing the history of Alabama basketball. And of course, obviously, I'm not talking about you guys,
right?
But some others maybe just they've had to do some research.
Yes.
And I think it's great because I've heard more talk in the last few weeks, and even in the last few years, I should say, when Nate Oates has really gotten this thing rolling, and the championships and the Sweet 16s and the run this year, obviously. I've not heard anybody talk more about the run that Wimp Sanderson had than in recent years. And so this has been a great thing to not only spotlight what Nate Oates is doing, which is unprecedented and amazing, and has turned Alabama basketball into one of the elite programs in the country, but it's given everybody a chance to remember and reflect and appreciate what has come before him. And I just, as a former player, obviously, I think that's really cool. And it almost feels like, in a way, that the Wimp Sanderson era all of a sudden is getting the respect it deserves now. And I don't think it has before. So it's amazing. I still can't quite believe it. I love the Final Four. I've been to several. It's the coolest sporting event there is. And to have my team there is just absolutely amazing. I'm just, as you can tell, I'm pretty excited.
Yeah. And you bring up Wimp Sanderson, and Brian, this may not be Alabama's most talented team ever, that has ever put on a Crimson Tide uniform, but it validates just how hard it is to get to the Final Four, how tough it is to navigate this tournament that is the NCAA tournament. And what a job Nate Oates has done to get this team ready to get to this point, because to be the first school to get there, I mean, it is so tough to go through this to get there. I think that's too why, it's just, it when you say you get to the Final Four, it really does mean a little bit more.
Yeah, a guy did a little quick article with last year, and I posted it on Twitter a few days ago. I had forgotten about it. It was after Bama lost last year in the Sweet 16, and in some of the questions, and it was a well-written article. It was Crimson White School newspaper, and he asked about, like, is this ever going to happen? This might be the best. Going back to last year, this might be the best team in school history, and only the Sweet 16, and I remember talking about this on the post-game show in Louisville after we lost to San Diego State. And I said, it's going to happen. Like, it's going to happen under Nate Oates. And I said, it may be a team where you least expect it. But when you're in the mix, year in and year out, you're going to have a breakthrough if you're there. If you put yourself in a good position with a good seed, things are going to shake out, and it's going to happen. I guarantee it's going to happen. I didn't guarantee win, but I knew it was going to happen, and because that's who gets to a Final Four. Now there's some programs, there's George Mason's, VCU, even South Carolina, that they have this kind of they're not staples in the NCAA tournament. They're not teams that traditionally get high seeds, and you can make a run. They're aberrations. But then when you look at the programs, and Tennessee's a good example. Like Tennessee's a really good program.
Yes.
And they, along with Alabama, and I think Missouri's in that mix. I'm so sick of seeing that graph of top programs and most NCAA tournament wins and most NCAA tournament bids to have never gone to a Final Four. Like, man, like you don't want to be on that graph, and we're off that graph, and so, but as long as you're in the mix, you feel like it's eventually going to happen. Now, I think I'm Tennessee under Rick Barnes. I think they continue to do what they do. They were close this year, obviously, but if you continue to put yourself in a position, you're eventually going to break through. That's what happened. Nobody, including me. I mean, if you would have, I said it, I thought it was going to happen. Now that I was very confident in. This year, no, not overly confident, especially the way the regular season ended, the injury situation, getting blown out twice by Florida late in the season, especially the SEC tournament. I thought, okay, if this team could get rested and healthy, and we talked about it going into the NCAA tournament, it's the two things this team needed, and that loss to Florida in Nashville was not ideal, but it did give you two things you needed, and that was rest and getting healthy. Now, they haven't been quite as healthy, obviously, but they have been rested, and they got a really good draw with teams that were good and dangerous, but the style of play was exactly what you wanted to see. College of Charleston gets up and down, shoots a lot of threes, plays a similar style to Alabama. Grand Canyon, not necessarily a team I wanted to see because I thought they were really good and could have beaten Alabama or anybody on that second round game, but Alabama was able to gut out a win with toughness and defense. And then you meet North Carolina. North Carolina is national championship good.
Mm-hmm.
Right. They're a one seed for a reason, but style of play, out of all the one seeds, that's the one you wanted to see. And then Clemson in a rematch. Alabama's had some Sweet 16 games against eventual national champions. The one Elite Eight game came against Connecticut 20 years ago, who was dominant. And if pretty much anybody else in a regional final, you probably win that game. So the draw played out really well, and sometimes that's what it takes. You got to be good, you got to be hot, you got to get things going, and a favorable draw doesn't hurt. And all those things kind of lined up this year, and here we are packing up for Phoenix.
Well, and how cool was it? One of my favorite parts of the post-game show was he seemed so proud to be there, was a guy that meant so much to Alabama basketball, both as a player at the university and then what he did in the NBA, but having Robert Horry there to watch Jaren Stevenson, and it was like watching a young Robert Horry come of age in that game against Clemson.
Yeah. I mean, that it was really cool to see Robert in what was the Staples Center, now is Crypto.com arena. Big Shot Bob, who won titles there, to see the emotion that he had for his school going to the Final Four was special. One of the great players in the history of the program. And I've heard from so many, as I've mentioned, former teammates, got text the day before, they just wanted to be there, and just the more nerves going into that game against Clemson than they had. And I had before games that I actually played in, that there was, you felt like, and obviously guys like Robert way more than me, but you feel like you have an impact in winning and losing is sitting next to Chris. I don't really have I don't have any impact on winning and losing, but for some reason my nerves. Maybe that's why the nerves are so high. But it was just a cool moment for everybody that's been affiliated with the program. And I mean, I'm getting texts from buddies that they're like, I've been living and dying with every possession for 50 years, and I can't believe it. And just the emotion of former players, fans, it's just been amazing. And man, I'm just so pumped about it.
Well, now you get to be pumped because you get to see UConn. And just your thoughts on this matchup with Alabama and UConn in the Final Four.
Well, I was on a high, and you just brought me down to reality.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, listen. I mean, man. If you would have told me get a shot at UConn in the Final Four, would I take it? Heck yeah.
Yeah.
They're really good. They're really good. They're the best team in the country. They've been dominant. They're the defending national champions, and everybody's kind of penciled them in to win it all. And listen, they may very well win it all. I mean, that is what the odds would tell you. But how many times in recent years, and even historically, has the team that's been dominant that everybody said is just a coronation at the Final Four actually win the national championship? I mean, last year UConn was no juggernaut. They were playing like it late, obviously, but they were a 4 seed.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
This is a 1 seed, number one team in the country, so a little different story. But the one thing that we know in March is that you never know. Alabama, with the way they play, hopefully will get Latrell Wrightsell back. We don't know that for sure, but I know there's more optimism than there was certainly in Spokane and LA that he may have a chance to play. And when this team is playing well, healthy, Latrell Wrightsell, you make the argument, is one of the top 2 or 3 most important players on this team. With the way they play offense, they can play with and beat anybody in the country, and that includes UConn. But with that being said, there's a reason why UConn's number 1. They're number 1 seed, and everybody's picking them. They're really, really good, and Alabama can beat them, but they're going to have to play great on both ends to do it. And the good news is Alabama is a much different team defensively than they were 3 weeks ago going into the NCAA tournament. Defense has been a huge part of why they're playing in the Final Four. Did a great job defensively against Charleston. Defense won them the game against Grand Canyon, against North Carolina, holding the Tar Heels to 25% shooting in the second half, and then against Clemson, when you're in foul trouble, able to get some key stops late. So hopefully that'll continue against a great UConn team.
Well, and the good thing about this journey is I know Latrell Wrightsell, it hasn't been ideal that he only really played heavy minutes against Charleston, but we had Mohamed Diobate have his moment against Grand Canyon. Grant Nelson had his moment against North Carolina, which was tremendous. And then as we've already mentioned, Jaron Stevenson, but also Nick Pringle. There's been a lot of growth on this team during this journey, Brian, to help. And hey, can you believe we haven't talked about Mark Sears this entire conversation?
Listen, there's been so many heroes during this run, and I think, and I'm as guilty of it as anybody. It's like, yeah, Mark, All-American, just being an All-American, just kind of we grade everything on, are you above or below or at expectations? He's at expectations. He's our All-American. He's just being an All-American. That's what he does. Now let's talk about everybody else. But I mean, Mark's going to go down. He might go down as the greatest player in Alabama history. I mean, he's definitely in the conversation for one of the greatest ever to put on the crimson and white. So he's been absolutely spectacular in what he's done. But, I mean, just heroes all over the place. You don't win the game against Grand Canyon and you go home after the round of 32 without Mo Diabate. Jaron Stevenson, who struggled against his hometown team in the Sweet 16 game, North Carolina, comes back and has a career high. And Nick Pringle, a guy that, got on a Southwest flight or whatever it was. He's on a commercial flight out there heading out to Spokane the day before the game. Didn't know if he was going to even be on the team or play at all. Dealt with some personal stuff, and his coaches and teammates love him. He ends up being maybe the player of the game against Clemson with a double-double on one leg. He gutted it out against North Carolina. He's playing injured. Hopefully he'll be closer to 100%. But just down the line, I mean, just up and down the line, everybody's been a huge part of what they're doing. And this team deserves what they've gotten, and they'll go down in history regardless of what happens. But, I keep hearing them saying, after the game and even heading back to Tuscaloosa, not done yet, 2 more. So they're not satisfied, and I'm glad they're taking that approach.
Well, we're looking forward to Saturday night and the call, you and Chris Stewart, one we've all been waiting for so long. The Alabama Crimson Tide taking on the UConn Huskies, and then hopefully we'll be hearing you again Monday night. But we always appreciate your time, Brian. Have a safe flight later today. Just enjoy this experience. I know you're going to soak it all in, and we're all going to be along there with you along the journey. But thank you once again, man, and what a great time to be an Alabama basketball supporter and someone that gets to cover the team. And, of course, envy your job as well. But well done, sir, and looking forward to more success hopefully on Saturday.
Well, guys, always appreciate y'all having me on. And, man, I'm excited, and I know Alabama fans are. So hopefully it'll continue to be a great ride, and look forward to Saturday night.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, guys.
Brian Passett, kind enough to join us before he makes his trek to the desert.
I believe they're flying out today, the team, at 1:45. I think several of the media are going out on Wednesday, but I think the team is leaving this afternoon, Scott.
All right, let's get a break in. When we come back, more Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Looks like that wreck at New Hope, 431 and Main Drive, is actually a computer error from yesterday afternoon. Got Old Highway 20 and Greenbrier Road that should be about ready to clear. Highway 20 at Kimberly Pines in Decatur had injury. Stringfield and Blue Spring had injury. 31 south of the Beltline's a no injury. And Point Mallard near I-65 in Decatur also being reported as a no injury. Snelling needs experienced production managers. Direct hire in Madison with great benefits. Snelling, how the area's best companies hire talent. Huntsville.snelling.com. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, proudly saying Roll Tide and War Eagle. Stop into University Kia today and shop one of the area's largest selection of new Kias, including Fortes, Seltos, Telluride, and Popular Carnival, and fully electric EV6. View all the great specials at universitykia.com and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia you really want, because we want to see you in a University Kia.
What if I told you that Bigfoot is real and that he's making the best donuts you've ever had? Come see for yourself at Bigfoot's Little Donuts. Come in and order from over 50 flavors, all made hot and delicious. Ranked in the top 100 donut shops in the nation by Yelp. Bigfoot Little Donuts. Order in store or online at bigfootslittledonuts.com for pickup or delivery from Grub South or DoorDash. South Parkway, Huntsville, and County Line Road, Madison. Bigfoot's Little Donuts.
Hey folks, Bob Baumhauer here. We're extremely proud that Baumhauer's Victory Grill has been serving Alabama for 43 legendary years. Our motto is legendary fun, legendary food, and we strive to make every dining experience a special one for all of our guests. Our menu features delicious, always fresh and scratch-made in-house recipes. And of course, our award-winning wings and sauces. And don't forget, our happy hour and halftime daily specials cannot be beat. Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Legendary fun, legendary food.
AL cert number 21014.
Are those high utility bills driving you crazy this time of year? If they are, Talent Heating and Air has the special for you.
That's right. We're going to run a $49 spring checkup on your system. We're going to come out, we're going to check those heat kits, make sure that everything was working through the winter right, and then we're going to also make sure your Freon's good, make sure that you're ready for the summertime.
How important is that to be done this time of year?
It's really the most important time of the year. We can avoid safety concerns caused by wintertime use, and then we can also make sure that you're ready for the summertime.
And to get ready for the summertime, you just got to call
256-503-4490.
Or you can find them online at
talenthvac.com.
That's Talent Heating and Air. One more time.
256-503-4490.
Talent Heating and Air. Let them save you money. All right, welcome back. Talking Ball. 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond. And it is a Tuesday morning. Coming up in just a little bit, we will bring in our second guest of the morning. And I have no idea why I'm talking like I am like in sludge. Terrence Oglesby is going to join the show here coming up at the bottom of the hour as we talk a little bit more Final Four and kind of preview some of the other three teams that will be heading to the desert. You got Purdue, UConn, and NC State. They will all be there as well. 256-576-4977. If you want to join the program or the show, you can do so here in just a little bit. Well, right now is a good time to do that. Just trying to... There we go. All right. No, man, I have no idea what is going on with my mind right now, but it is just all over the place.
Well, looking forward to talking to Terrence Oglesby, and
he
is one of the, I think. Now I know that Scott Stapler played in the tournament before. I was heavily involved in it, and there have been great players since 1983. There's no doubt about it. That have played in our event, Jay Shearer as well. But since for my 34 years of being with the tournament starting in 90 and 91, probably the two greatest shooters that I've ever seen play in the tournament, in the Huntsville City Classic, now the Huntsville City Classic, are Trevor Lacey and Terrence Oglesby. Both went on to play, Power 5 basketball, and they both finished in the ACC. Terrence Oglesby actually played 2 years at Clemson before going on to a long pro career, as he had dual citizenship. Scott, as he was a guy that played overseas for the majority for his entire pro career. But he played 2 years. He had Norwegian citizenship and was part of their national team and played overseas for many, many years. For 9 years after leaving Clemson under Oliver Purnell. He was there for 2 years, was all ACC freshman, averaged 10 points per game, and then on their NCAA tournament team his sophomore year averaged nearly 14. Was one of the best three-point shooters in the ACC. We all know what Trevor did. Trevor, 2 years at Alabama, a year at NC State, and he is still playing. But these two guys were probably as good of players as I've ever witnessed from a shooter standpoint. And I'll just say it always stuck with me. And Matthew Smith's my colleague, who, as he's an avid listener to this show, he helped set this up, as a matter of fact. and he's been a long time PA announcer for the Classic. We watched Terrence Oglesby put in a workout one morning before a game. He came in about an hour before the first game at 9 a.m., and he put on a workout display and a shooting display that we had just never seen before. And it showed why he was such a special player. And his senior year at Bradley Central, they lost in the finals to Butler 58-52. Kent Smith was his coach for a long time. He was there for a long time at Bradley, 17 years. They finished runner-up a couple of times. Always had a great culture and program at Bradley. He had the Hare brothers, Josh and Justin Hare. And it's been neat to see T.O., as I love to call him, now make a rise. He was a great player, but now he's becoming a really good analyst. And the Field of 68 is must-watch.
You think about that when you say best shooters in that tournament. So many big names. So many big names have come through the Huntsville Times Classic, AL.com Classic, or the Huntsville City Classic. So many great players have come through, and to put that mantra there is impressive. All right, let's get the break in. When we come back, Terrence Oglesby will join the show.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. We're talking about the chance for strong and severe thunderstorms this afternoon across North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee. Looks like this activity is going to move in after the lunch hour, and it's going to stick with us across the Tennessee Valley until we head into the middle and later part of the evening. Gusty winds in excess of 60 or 70 miles per hour, and large hail looks like it's going to be the primary concern across the Tennessee Valley Tuesday afternoon. There is an isolated tornado threat as well. Temperatures climbing into the mid and upper 70s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio 97.
Firefighters in Decatur headed to a possible structure fire in the 3200 block of Fieldstone. Got a couple of no-injury breaks in Decatur. Point Mallard near I-65 and 31 south of the Beltline. Stringfield and Blue Spring had a vehicle hit a utility pole. That one ended up as an injury type. Highway 20 at Kimberly Pines in Decatur had injuries. Should be clearing it. Old Highway 20 and Greenbrier Road also had injuries. It should be clearing. Dr. Sandman has the Somnodent, a safe, insurance-approved alternative for snoring and sleep apnea. Dr. Randall Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the North Parkway, Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money. Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
Hey, pet parents. With Progressive's collision coverage, you get extra protection for your cat or dog, because there's nothing worse than seeing your pet hurt. Like when you see their face after accidentally stepping on their tail, and you say, "I'm so sorry, Mr. Pickles." But as you kiss his nose and rub his little belly welly, you know Mr. Pickles is thinking, "You betrayed me." Anywho, Progressive pays up to $1,000 in vet bills if your pet is injured in an auto accident. Learn more at Progressive.com and watch where you step. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Collision coverage subject to policy terms. Not available in all states.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. If you've been injured and need a lawyer right now, and pick up the phone to call, you know, one you've seen on a billboard or on TV begging for your business, do you know who you really get?
I'm attorney Jennifer Lackey. You want to talk to your lawyer. You don't want to reach a call center, not in some office 100 miles away. With the Lackey Law Firm, that never happens. My clients talk to me.
And me. I'm attorney Justin Lackey. We're the ones that you talk to. We're the ones that you meet with.
and we're the ones who handle your personal injury case. You want to talk to me? You just call me.
And we'll take care of it. You worry about getting well. We'll take care of the rest.
The Lackey Law Firm.
And I'll go you one better. If you can't come to us, we'll come to you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Welcome back, Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond, welcome back to the show on a Tuesday morning. Talked a little Alabama football there, or basketball at the top of the hour with Brian Pasick. Courtside for the Alabama run to the Final Four. And that is the thing, Final Four. There's 3 other teams that'll be headed to the desert. UConn, who Alabama will face on Saturday, and then Purdue and Zach Edey, and then you get the UConn Huskies, the defending national champions, looking to do something that has not been done since the Florida Gators and Billy Donovan back in the day winning back-to-back basketball championships.
No question, and our next guest is a part of one of my favorite networks, the Field of 68. He's risen quickly in the business as a broadcaster, but we always remember him here in Huntsville, and it's because we consider ourselves the hub of basketball in our community in this state, for his work as a player and as a student athlete, first at Bradley Central High School in Cleveland, Tennessee, his hometown, for Coach Kent Smith. He's one of the greatest players that ever suited it up in our tournament. Finishing as the runner-up to the great Jack Dawson, the Butler Rebels, his senior year, before going on to an outstanding 2-year career at Clemson for Oliver Purnell, and then a long pro career, and now wearing many hats. He's worked for Fox. He works for Bally, covering the Charlotte Hornets, which, of course, Brandon Miller is quickly rising in the NBA. He's done work for ESPN. But the Field of 68, when I saw him join that, I remember messaging my good friend Matthew Smith and said, Terrence Oglesby. Yes, that Terrence Oglesby is now a part of the Field of 68. And it's been great to watch his work. And it's an honor to welcome him back to Huntsville this morning on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Terrence, you're with Drew DeArmond and Scott Tyson, sir. It's the best week of the year for a college basketball fan. Welcome back, man. How are you?
Well, it's especially good if you live in Alabama at this point. Well, outside of Auburn, Alabama.
Right.
Hey, how good have they been? I'm surprised anybody from the state of Alabama let me on the radio after I've literally picked Alabama to lose in every round of this tournament.
Well,
they want you to do it one more time so we can get them into the national title game.
And we understand. I mean, look, we talked about it earlier in the show. This Alabama team struggled down the stretch, and you know, the Grand Canyon draw was an interesting one, and Bryce has done a good job with that team. They were very athletic, and Alabama was banged up, but that's the beauty of this tournament. And I mean, and I know it was tough. Your alma mater, Clemson, had gone on quite a run with Brad Brownell, and they were really good, and they thumped Alabama. I watched a lot of that game early in the year. I was on the road with Huntsville High, but I saw that game, and Clemson certainly earned it, and it looked like they had opened up an opportunity to go to their first Final Four. But Alabama, that's the beauty of this tournament. You never know who's going to step up, and I heard you talking about it with John Fanta yesterday and Rob Doster. You look at Jaron Stevenson, what he did. It was a watershed breakout moment. It's been quite a run for Alabama, Terrence.
Yeah, it has. And Nate Oates said it himself in the postgame presser. He was like, hey, guys, we haven't defended like this all year.
No, they haven't. Right.
Something happened in the NCAA tournament to where those guys are guarding, and not only are they guarding, they're getting stops and taking off and running. And it's not just Mark Steers. I mean, Jared Stevenson with an absolutely terrific game. He loves that left corner, doesn't he?
He does.
He nailed 3 or 4 there. Nick Pringle, who's been very up and down, had a great game against Clemson when they needed him to, because the front court of Clemson is really, really good. And no, credit to all those guys. Look, it's funny because I did pick against Alabama, but all those guys on that staff, I love those guys. It's everybody, Alabama fans thought it was personal. No, I just didn't like the matchups. And when you throw in the fact that Alabama had not guarded up until the tournament, that changes everything. So I was judging Alabama on what I'd seen in the regular season, not what I'd seen not what I'd seen in game 1 or game 2. You almost wonder if you're going to revert back to the mean, but I guess not, because this is what Alabama had in their back pocket the whole time. It's been fun to watch. Some of the passes, guys, it reminded me a little bit of Keegan Bell there at the Huntsville Times Classic.
Wow.
Like some of those passes that Mark Sears had, going baseline, firing to the opposite 45, around bodies to where they're basically blind passes, but he knows where his guys are at. Look, I've been a Mark Sears fan for basically his entire career. I remember watching him at Ohio, but it's like you had to make spectacular plays to go up against the defense in Clemson's that quite frankly, is as fundamentally sound as you're going to find. And if you just make the right plays, and they're going to be difficult, but if you make the right plays, you'll find opportunities. And Mark Sears, Clemson had nothing for him. I mean, it was amazing.
What's impressed you the most, though, about flipping the defensive switch going into the tournament?
I think it was more than anything. I think their activity level. One, we've known they have the athletes to get out on the perimeter. Aaron Estrada, for the large part of his college career, hasn't been a mega defensive-minded guy. But for some reason, he just, whenever the tournament came, he's staying in front. He's not giving that last dribble to the cup freely. It's a little bit of everything. It's just the fact that they're rotating a little faster. It's a greater sense of urgency. And, hey, like, I'm not going to sit here and just dump on Alabama's regular season. They had a good regular season. They got into the tournament, for goodness sake. But, like, there's just a different level of intensity, a different level of attention to detail that really stands out.
Well, and it's going to take that against, UConn. Talk about that matchup. I was as I was listening to you guys' podcast last night, you guys made a lot of great points. Alabama can win this game, but they're going to have to do 3 or 4 things really, really well to have a shot against what looks like a juggernaut right now.
You know what? I said this yesterday. 19 to 26 threes.
Yeah.
Like it's got to be in that range. And I'm not saying that to be facetious. I'm just saying that because you have to shoot over the top of this UConn defense. They are so long, so tough, and so athletic that Donovan Clingan protects everything inside of 12 feet. Like, and he's not Zach Edey defensively, but he's arguably bouncier and more athletic at 7'2". I mean, he's an anomaly. He's in this NCAA tournament. He's played himself into the top 7 of the NBA draft. So they have weapons everywhere. Dan Hurley is a lovable maniac, as is Nate Oat. But they are so, what's the right word, methodical on the offensive end. And then once they run you down for 28 seconds on the shot clock, they have guys that shoot north of 43% from 3 out on the perimeter knocking down shots. Like, it is this is about as well-oiled a machine in UConn as you're going to see. I'm going to say it's the most well-oiled machine since Baylor in 21. And if they keep their run going, it's going to be known for a long time as the best 2 seasons, or some of the best 2 seasons in the history of college basketball. That's what they've done up at UConn.
You played the game, and you played it at the highest level. Would you love to have had a 7'4", 300-pound big man like Zach Edey?
Have I played against a 7'4"?
No, I mean, would you have loved to have had that guy to throw the ball down to?
I mean, he's a cure-all. He's certainly a cure-all. That's the great thing about him. You know what? Zach Edey, everybody's like, well, he's just tall. He's just huge compared to everybody else. No, I disagree. Like, he moves his feet. He gets out and covers ball screens. He doesn't put himself in bad position to get in foul trouble. And he works his tail off. And the problem whenever you play Zach Edey is, Tennessee fans right now are complaining about the fouls. Well, you can't punish Zach Edey for being huge. And he's not playing basketball illegally. He's playing the way it's supposed to be played. He just happens to be bigger. And as a result, he's going to get more foul calls because you have to play him physical or there's nothing you can do. He made Jonas Adu look tiny, and Jonas is a big dude. So, like, I would love to have him there. He's a generationally good player in college, statistically speaking. He's just he's a load.
Yeah, he really is. He's just and Purdue is an old school, the way they approach things. They go inside out, Terrence, and you don't see a lot of it, and that's why it's just most people don't attack Zach either. They decide they're going to try to, like Tennessee, Connect had such a great game, but the problem for the Vols was nobody else could score the ball, though. He didn't have enough help, and and that's going to be a key kind of matchup for NC State. NC State, what a run they've been on. I mean, Kevin Keats you guys talked about it. He was on the hot seat. If they lose to Virginia, he's probably not even here. But now they're going on an 83 type run. DJ Burns everybody loves that guy. Just kind of talk about NC State and their run, and then their matchup with Purdue.
You know what? You want to talk about an anomaly. This wasn't the same NC State team that played all season.
No.
They got hot at the right time. They were in the play-in day of the ACC tournament.
Against
they
Louisville.
went what was it, Tuesday to Saturday? They won 5 in 5 days, and now they've won their last 4. You want to talk about getting hot at the right time. It's been a mixture of having really good players and being really fortunate. And I'm not saying that they're lucky, but they have put themselves in position, and they've capitalized on putting themselves in position. Mike O'Connell hit a half-court shot to put them in overtime in a game that I'm not sure they were supposed to win in their conference tournament. So it's a combination of a lot of things. DJ Burns, I coined this I saw him play last year. He's a walking refrigerator with ballerina feet, and he has unbelievable touch around the basket.
Yeah.
He's always on balance. And people don't remember this, but he started his college career at Tennessee.
Oh, that's right.
And Rick Barnes tried to run him into the ground to lose weight, and he's just not a guy that could hold off weight. It just wasn't going to happen. And he goes to Winthrop. He's Conference Player of the Year down there. They win a couple of league titles. And then he goes to NC State. And whenever he signed at NC State, I called Joel Justice, who's the assistant coach for Kevin Keats up there. I'm like, how is that going to work? He's like, well, we think he's going to be really good for us, but we're going to have to change some things up defensively. I said, no kidding, because, when I hear Kevin Keats, I think like super athletic bigs that are rim protectors. They move the ball quick. They have guards that can play make, and they're a handful. Well, he's a complete opposite of that, and it's kind of worked in their favor because he's a terrific passer. You can't front him in the post because he doesn't let you. He will catch the ball to post you up, and he will Barkley his behind all the way down to the cup. He will post up at the three-point line and just back you down all the way. It's one of the most amazing things I've seen. He's different than anything I've seen before. I'm not sure how he gets past the college level unless, and I'm not trying to be mean, it's just a different game whenever you turn it to the pros. It's going to be really hard for him to keep up physically in the NBA, but college-wise, he's a handful, and guys don't really know what to do with a player that is that big and that skilled.
Well, in your mind, how does this Final Four play out?
I'm scared to say after all this Twitter hate I've been getting right now. No, I do think UConn wins this next game, and it's nothing against Alabama. Those guys have made the run of their lives, but it's like UConn is just they're clicking on all cylinders. They're deep. Dan Hurley finds ways to go on these historic level runs. They went on a 30-0 run against Illinois.
Who was playing
Illinois
so
well. No slouch. Oh,
right.
My gosh. Illinois is the top 10, 12 team in college basketball. They went on a 30-0 run, and it wasn't one of these runs where they were hitting a bunch of threes and there was a bunch. No, they were just calmly running their offense. They were like Dexter of they're just serial killers. And it just happened time after time after time. So I think UConn beats Alabama. I think Purdue actually gets NC State. The person that people don't talk enough about is Braden Smith. I mean, that guy is outstanding.
Great guard.
Yeah, really, really good. And it just feels like a game of destiny between Purdue and UConn, who guys have been the best two teams in college basketball all year. We talk about it in football. Who are the best two teams? Not necessarily the most deserving. Who are the best two? A couple of years ago, Georgia and Alabama played in the national championship game. Clemson and Alabama played in the national championship game. Those were the best two teams. If basketball were to follow suit, it would be UConn and Purdue.
Is UConn the champion still in your mind?
Yeah, I think so. I just it's going too well. I've never seen anything quite like it. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it really is. Well, I can just tell you, though, as we said, to close it, you still go down. You want to. We were kind of talking about it before you came on the show. I still remember Matt Schmitz and I. We were always in the gym early because we got to get ready for the first game. That workout you put together, your pregame stuff where you're putting yourself through to get your sweat going before playing, and that shooting display you put on in the Huntsville Times Classic at that time, now the Huntsville City Classic, it's still talked about year in and year out. I know you guys didn't win the tournament that year, man, but you still are one of the greatest players we ever saw in the tournament, and we followed your career very closely because of it, and we're just very proud of what you did after you left our tournament and your career and what you're doing in broadcasting, man. And I heard about your son, too. Heard we may see another Oglesby. It's going to be a great player, man.
Yeah, he's a tough little sucker. He's 8 years old. He got so with working with the Hornets. There's obviously perks to the gig.
Yeah, no doubt.
For his birthday, it was March 30th, and on the 29th they played the Warriors. Well, he loves Steph Curry, and I work with Dell, and that's all great and good. But to be able to take your son there, he was just there on the court mimicking everything that Steph did. And there's people standing across there, and it got picked up by Bleacher Report of them videoing him mimicking what Steph was doing. I told my son, I was like, son, you're a star. You're getting 35,000 people.
Wow.
So, no, really cool. And I remember that tournament. We always had a blast going down there. We went down there my junior and senior years.
Yeah.
In my junior year, we had to go up there and play in the side gym because we lost in game one.
That's right.
And then my senior year, we had a pretty good little run. I want to say we beat Lee.
Yep.
And then we beat I can't remember if it was Grissom in the second
yeah,
half.
Because here's the legendary story about y'all beating Grissom. That's what caught our eye. I turned to Matt and I said, Matt, Terrence Oglesby outscored Grissom himself in the first half. He goes, you're kidding me. I said, I believe it was 22-21. I was like, Terrence just put on a show like we've never seen. And you guys ended up, I think, you lost 58-52 to a really good Butler team in the finals. Now, I know in 2001, Bradley won the tournament. In 99, they also made the finals. But they've got a rich history with the tournament. And I know Coach Smith had a great run there. He was a great man.
Great tournament.
Yeah, man, it's a great tournament.
Tournament.
And we enjoyed watching you compete, man. And we hope we can do this again and feature you. We just enjoy your career, man, and we appreciate it.
I'm impressed that you can remember all of that from making just those 2 runs over here to Huntsville.
Yeah, there you go.
I love that.
He's a basketball.
I remember they had my junior year, we played a team that had this big kid who ended up going to play football at Indiana or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I can't remember who all was on that Butler team, but I remember, we started out the game great.
Yeah.
And we had a couple of, and then they made a little bit of a run, and I thought their coach was a bit of a sissy because he just sat on the ball up at half court.
You're not the first person to say that one here.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, believe me. Hey, when we watch some of Jack Doss's teams, we sit here and say we need a shot clock.
Yeah.
High school basketball
when he
needs
yells
a
out
shot
corners,
clock
man,
sometimes.
he's the master at it.
Yep.
Though. He's the Dean
Yeah,
Smith.
I just didn't think he needed to because he had good players.
Oh yeah.
I just that was kind of the weird thing about it. It's we made a run. I think we were up 12-8 or something. They came down. They had a dunk. They hit a 3. All of a sudden it's 13-12, and we couldn't get going because this sissy of a coach is holding the ball up at half court. And it was it didn't do anything. It's just terrible basketball to watch. He's the reason everybody wants a shot clock. I mean, it's crazy. Look, he's had a great career for what I understand.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It ain't for the right reason.
Well, we appreciate it, Terrence, man. Hey, keep up the great success. We hope we can speak with you again and talk some college hoops. But thank you for carving out the time. It's a busy time of year, but man, awesome stuff.
Terrence.
Thank you, sir.
All right, hey, tell the Butler coach I'm just kidding, man.
I know. It's all good, man.
It's all good. All good.
Coach is a great friend of ours.
Thanks,
Absolutely.
Terrence.
Thank you, man.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right. We got to get a break in. We'll wrap this all up next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Everything's okay in Decatur, 3200 block of Fieldstone. They reported a structure fire there, but the first fire unit on the scene says everything's okay. Point Mallard near I-65 and 31 south of the Beltline in Decatur, both no injury, trying to clear. We had Stringfield and Blue Spring, a vehicle hit a utility pole there. That one had some injury. May still be working with it. Do you know who to call when you need a heart doctor? You could write this name down now so you have it in the future. Dr. Randall Burns is a Huntsville heart specialist on Bob Wallace, where they have the expertise to care for all matters of the heart. Captain Nick in the North Parkway, Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
If you enjoy 97.7 ESPN The Zone for all the best in sports talk, you'll love Talk Radio WZZN on 97.7 HD2. Don't have an HD radio? No worries. Download the app by searching for Talk Radio WZZN on your phone or visit the website at Talk Radio WZZN. Talk Radio WZZN features the best in talk from Fox News Radio during the day, plus Bill O'Reilly and his No Spin News at 6. Your home of the Rocket City Trash Pandas is Talk Radio WZZN.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Let's hit the phone lines real fast, and let's squeeze in Jason.
What's up, Jason?
Morning, Jason.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen.
Morning,
How
sir.
you doing?
Good.
Good. Yeah, I just wanted to call and, I'm a diehard Bama fan.
Yeah.
And I'm tickled to death with everything that they're doing in basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's historical right now what they have done up to this point and what they're going to do moving forward. Everybody is writing them out, which is absolutely what we want as a team, is to put us as an underdog, because it's going to make this team even hungrier. And it couldn't be any better for Bama, number one. Number two, I keep up with softball.
Yes, sir.
I keep up with gymnastics. I keep up with everything. But I just want to ask you guys, what do you think about the recruitment and how our new coach is bringing everything together for our football team, which I think is going to be one of the best teams in the country next year, and everybody's even writing them off already. And the reason I bring that up is the fact that the media just hates Alabama.
Jason, I hate to cut you off, but we are up against time. We will answer that question in full tomorrow. We will start off the show tomorrow, and we will address that topic, address that conversation, because spring football is ongoing at Alabama.
And
I think Kellen DeBoer is doing a really good job, man. I mean, I think he's going to continue the success of this program, no doubt about it.
All right, that's the 2 hours for us. We'll be back at it tomorrow.
The new favorite place for delicious Mexican food is Coralejos Mexican Grill in Huntsville. Check